Hi, and welcome to Horror Recapped. Today, we're going to be discussing a 2006 American horror film titled Stay Alive. Watch out, spoilers ahead. The movie begins with a young man walking inside a dark, eerie building while he holds a lantern. At every place he turns in the building, he's greeted with the sight of a scary demon. He becomes scared and tries to make his way out of the building, but all the doors become locked and he dies, hanging from a chandelier. Then, Game Over pops up on a computer screen. What we just saw was a game known as Stay Alive, being played by Loomis Crowley. Loomis called his friend Hutch, and he tells him about the game being creepy. He asks Hutch to come over. Hutch agrees to go over to his place by the weekend to play the game. Loomis goes to meet his friends, Sarah and Rex, living upstairs in the same house. He finds them having sex, with Rex putting on a creepy black mask. They tell him he should have knocked rather than barge into the room. Loomis knocks on the already open door and says, "I saw you guys in the game." Rex replies, "We haven't played for hours." He makes his way back to his room, but he's unable to sleep as images from the game haunt him. He goes to the kitchen to get a glass of water using a lighter as a light source as the power seems to be out. He keeps hearing sounds and is spooked out by his own reflection. He hears footsteps and we can see a shadow in the background. It seems someone is chasing him. He runs upstairs calling out, "Rex, Sarah." He finds his friends dead. He becomes very scared and tries to leave the room, but something grabs him from behind and he is hung from a chandelier, dying, just like in the game. The next day, Hutch is in the office speaking with his boss, Miller, when he is told that he has a call. On the call, he is informed that Loomis is dead. He goes to Loomis's house, meets Loomis's family, and a couple of people sympathizing with the family. He also gets to meet a friend of Sarah's, called Abigail. They find out that they were both meant to visit their friends on the day of their death. Hutch visiting Loomis and Abigail visiting Sarah. Emma, Loomis's sister, gives Hutch her brother's video games. After the day's activity, he spends time with some friends, Phineas, Abigail, Swink, and October. They decide to play the Stay Alive game online with Hutch's boss, Miller, who was at the office that night. At the beginning of the game, it requires them to say some words. The prayer of Elizabeth. "Come to me, clouds. May you rise as evil storm born to rip them open. Let the cover of night bear witness and destroy those who resist. So they shall harm me not. Let the blood of many cleanse me. Preserve beauty eternal. I pray you." I wouldn't recite that if I were you. After reciting the words, the game tells them that they have just made a grave mistake. In the game, they are taken to the garage plantation of Countess Elizabeth Bathory from 200 years ago. They are attacked by some demons and they fight their way through. They try to obtain roses. Roses are to protect them from the demons. After a short while of playing the game, Miller gets attacked and is injured in the game. He gets spooked by someone running around in his office in real life. They decide to call it a night, hoping to continue the next day. Miller starts hearing voices, so he decides to check around the office to know who is peeping at him. He is stabbed to death with a conjoined scissor blade by a demon in reality, just like in the game. Hutch is told about Miller's death. He goes to the office and meets some people, 2 detectives, Detective King and Detective Thibodeau, and he testifies to playing the game with Miller and some friends online a few hours before his death. Hutch is disturbed about the fact that people who play and get killed in the game are found dead in reality some hours later, but Phineas says Hutch was being dramatic and plays the game alone. As time goes on, they all start seeing and hearing things that aren't real. Hutch and October try to get some information to know if the game really had an effect on reality. October says her grandmother told her stories about the Countess. The people had walled her up in the tower alive because of her evil, and the game we were playing was all based on the real-life story of what happened to the Countess. The Countess had claimed all those many years ago that she was going to come back. October becomes really worried about her brother. He is seen singing in his car on a highway, then suddenly everywhere becomes dark, and a ghost-like being appears in his way. He swerves to avoid the being, but his car gets stuck. He calls his friends as they tell him they're on their way. It begins to look like he's in the game. He starts becoming scared and then the carriage from the point he paused in the game suddenly comes out of nowhere and runs him over. His friends and sister get to the site, but find him dead. The two detectives come to the scene as well. Hutch tries to explain the weird coincidences with the game to them. Also in the game, he found Phineas's dead body in the same position as in reality, but they don't believe him. Detective King signs into the game and begins playing, but is stopped by Hutch. The detective then goes to a game store to find more details about Stay Alive game, but is unable to get any information. As he enters his car, his head is ripped apart with a trap by the Countess's spirit. Hutch doesn't like fires because it reminds him of a childhood event when he was almost burned in a building. Hutch and Abigail go back to Loomis's house, hoping to find some information about the game. He tells her that the event that caused his fear of fires. October discovers how to kill the undead spirit by putting 3 nails through her heart, neck, and forehead, and the undead soul being cleansed by burning its blood. Due to Detective King's death, the police come to arrest Hutch, but October and Swink are the only ones home. They make use of the window to leave the building. Abigail sees that the game is playing itself, but before they can get to where October is, the Countess's spirit kills her by slashing her throat with a nail. The 3 friends drive to the Countess's tower to find a way to end the game. When they get to the building, Hutch and Abigail go inside the tower while Swink stays back to play the game, so the game would not play itself. While he plays, he looks for a way in the game to kill the Countess, and he guides Hutch on how to get to the garage plantation by passing through the kitchen using the back door. They discover that the Countess's body is still up in the tower. While in the house, Abigail is almost killed while going through the Countess's diary, but Hutch saves her. Swink plays the game and gives them some instructions for survival. At one point, the game starts while Swink is on a call with Hutch. Swink is forced to run away, calling the Countess a cheat as he flees. The Countess almost kills him. Hutch and Abigail are also attacked by the carriage, but Hutch makes use of the rose to save them both. They get to a place in the tower where the Countess's spirit chases them. A gate then separates both of them, and Hutch tries to find a way to reach Abigail, but he enters the Countess's chamber and finds her lying on her bed. He then nails her through her heart and neck. While he does this, Abigail is alone and the Countess's spirit is about to kill her. When Hutch nails her on her forehead, her spirit leaves Abigail's side and returns to her own body. She wakes up from the bed, and the nails are removed from her body. She tries to attack Hutch, but he uses his laptop to shield himself. She sees her reflection, and because the Countess hates looking at herself in mirrors, she screams, and her scream causes the laptop to fall from Hutch's hand, and he falls down also. He puts on the lighter and burns her body. Unfortunately, he remembers his childhood trauma from fire, but his friends, Swink and Abigail, come to his rescue and they leave the tower freely. In the end scene, we see the game store now sells copies of Stay Alive. A copy is put in a PS2, and we see the Countess staring out of her window before the scene cuts to black and the credits roll. And that's a wrap for Stay Alive. Hopefully, you were just as spooked by this recap as we were. Let's know your thoughts in the comments section. If you would like to look into other movies with us, be sure to like and click the subscribe button so you don't miss a single video. Thanks for watching.